Hello, fellow Americans. You are on the YouTube channel Common Constitutionalism, and I am Mitch. I talk about issues in our government, the erosion of our culture, the minimizing of our way of life, and the disregard for our Constitution. Keep your conservative voices active. Subscribe to this channel and listen as I talk about issues we are facing in our country and government. Visit my website, commonconstitutionalism.com. Enjoy reading my conservative blogs, and if you like them, maybe throw in a donation. While on commonconstitutionalism.com, go ahead and shop at the Sage Novelty Shop, where you will find shirts which feature our very own unique conservative political memes and captions. Display your conservative beliefs with pride. These items send a clear message without saying a word, or if you prefer, you can use them as a conversation starter. Come join my Facebook group, Common Constitutionalism, for discussions of topics, sharing of ideas, and interacting with others just like yourself who are proud to be Americans. Hello, Americans. Today you're going to be watching Which Party Really Cares for Minorities? Does anyone know who Tony Timpa is? Probably not. Why does no one remember this name? It is because Black Lives Matter does not care when a white person dies due to lethal force by police. No, Tony Timpa did not have protest for his death by police in 2016. Tony Timpa died August 10th, 2016, in the exact same way as George Floyd, handcuffed with hands behind their back and put on their stomachs on the ground. Both men had the officer with a knee pinning them to the ground. Both situations had multiple police standing there and watching, and the police were of multiple races. The similarities stopped there. Tony was a white man where George was a black man. Tony was pinned down for almost 14 minutes, where George was pinned down for almost 9 minutes. Tony had no protest of his death, where George has had ongoing protest, rioting, and looting for well over a month so far. Proving again, Black Lives Matter does not really care about human life. It is a political organization whose agenda is to politicize a situation for political gain. This is why the public does not support BLM overwhelmingly. First of all, most people cannot overlook the name Black Lives Matter. If the name was Lives Matter or All Lives Matter, and the organization showed up to all situations causing unnecessary death, there would probably be a different public opinion. Why do they only show interest in events where a white cop kills a black person? Why do they not care about all the black lives taken by other blacks? Why do they not care about white, brown, yellow, or purple lives taken? And why aren't they against the nearly 400,000 black abortions yearly? Oh, wait, that's right. They support a woman's right to choose. It is simply because BLM is using the event to create emotion from the black community for political gain. Their real agenda is to motivate black people to vote for Democrats. The Democrats falsely claim they are the party who cares and acts on behalf of this made-up systemic racism that black people supposedly live with daily, which is a completely fake claim. The Democrats have had decades to help minorities, and they have failed miserably. The Democrat Party has falsely used minorities for over 60 years to bolster their party. The success of the Democrat Party has been put on the continued need for minorities to believe in rampant racism by conservatives, which all minorities are supposedly subjected to daily. Through the last 60 years, Democrats have not bettered minorities' living standards in the least. They must keep minorities and underprivileged people in poor living standards for the party to survive. Think about it. If there were fewer drugs, less welfare dependency, fewer crimes, higher living standards, less unemployment, and higher wages in the minority communities, what then would the Democrat Party be needed for? The liberals must keep the false propaganda that conservatives are racist fresh in the minds of minorities. They do not care about improving the lives of minorities. What the Democratic Party really cares about is staying in power. It was the Republicans who abolished slavery, voted against segregation, voted for the right for minorities to vote, and voted for equal rights. It was President Trump who gave minorities their highest employment rate in history. It was President Trump who gave minorities their highest wage increases ever in history. It was President Trump who has put together the strongest police reform legislation in history. Despite what the liberals are saying, Obama and Biden had 8 years to do something about minority equality and racism. They had the killings in Ferguson, Baltimore, and others. But they did nothing to change things. Why? Because of their agenda. If the Democrats changed the way things are, they would put themselves out of business. BLM and Antifa were organized for one purpose. That purpose is to spread the liberals' Marxist fascist propaganda. Their intent is to create as much havoc as possible while being aggressive, belligerent, and confrontational. Their objective is to forcefully broadcast racist hate speech, shaming the weak in the white population into believing the white privileged catchphrase. When these whites buy into the premise of white privilege and help spread this fascist propaganda, when a segment of the white population festers from within, it makes BLM's and Antifa's agenda easier to accomplish. There is no systemic racism in law enforcement, government, or the United States of America today. Sure, the United States had its clash with slavery and racism 150 years ago, but that had nothing to do with those of us alive today. Racism is wrong. And in today's America, only a very few would argue that. The whites who accept that they're white privileged are only trying to hide their whiteness. They believe by admitting they are white privileged, they will escape their fear of being considered racist. The white population that buys into the liberals' Marxist fascist concept of white privilege only helps promote the racial and radical agenda of systemic racism in the United States. The stronger this movement gets, the more attention it creates. White privilege and systemic racism in America are made up fake slogans that the Marxist fascists must saturate minorities' minds with. They believe by keeping the minority vote in the Democrats' pocket, they can hold on to their power and stop the Republicans. I am hopeful the anarchy Antifa created this time, the lines they crossed with their violence, and the obvious disregard for race of those who they attacked and businesses they burned down, will show many that Antifa's real purpose is not to protect minorities, but instead to mislead and falsely keep minorities believing the Democrat Party is their party. President Trump has done more for minorities in 3.5 years than Obama did in 8 years, and Biden did in his 40+ years in government. So I ask, who is really the party that helps minorities the most? Your vote does matter, more now than ever. Please vote conservative across the board. Thank you. Let's see what we can accomplish here. My aim is to create a loyal following so I can continue bringing awareness to these kinds of issues. We will talk about issues in our government, the erosion of our culture, the minimizing of our way of life, and the disregard for our Constitution. I would appreciate you all exploring, donating, subscribing, joining, and shopping on my sites. You will see them displayed at the beginning and the end of the videos. Until next time, this is Common Constitutionalism, and I am Mitch. Thank you, America.